And on to the second story on the show this evening. What's the road ahead for Team India after the T20 World Cup win? Well, to decode that, we have with us Jatin Paranjpe, former India selector, a seasoned cricket administrator, and now part of the Cricket Advisory Committee of the BCCI. Paranjpe joins us to talk about the importance of Gautam Gambhir's appointment as coach, what he brings to the table, and what expectations we can hold of the Rohit-Gautam duo in shaping Indian cricket team for the next couple of years. Thanks so much, Jatin Paranjpe, for joining us. And let me begin by asking you, first and foremost, Jatin Paranjpe, that we're speaking today about the future of Indian cricket. The big news we have received from the BCCI recently is the appointment of Gautam Gambhir as the head coach, and that Rohit Sharma will remain captain for the ICC Champions Trophy next year, as well as the ICC World Test Championship also next year. How do you see the team shaping up under Gambhir and Rohit?
I think, the next decade or so is going to see India being a very, very dominant player, a very dominant country in world cricket across formats. I truly believe that. I think we have such a lot of talent coming through with the younger players. We are watching them in Zimbabwe, for example, right now. So I feel that Gautam is coming in at the right time. We have got the right person at the right time to take India forward into a dominant position across world cricket and across all the three formats. Rohit as well has led India brilliantly since he came over, since he became captain. And I think the next couple of years are extremely exciting from a WTC perspective, from a T20 perspective, and also for one-day cricket. So you will see the Indian team, rise to greater heights over the next few years. I honestly believe that.
Right, and the euphoria for India's victory in the T20 World Cup is yet to die down. But India has not been very fortunate largely when it comes to winning ICC trophies. We've qualified for the ICC Test Championship final in 2023 and lost to Australia. And we've also lost the 50-over World Cup final to Australia. Will there be added pressure on Gambhir now to deliver the goods for the ICC tournaments coming up next year along with Rohit?
No, I agree. There is always pressure when you are captain and coach of such a high-profile team like India. But let's not forget that we also beat Australia on our way to winning the T20 World Cup. So I think that will somewhere make the team feel a little less, anxious about playing Australia the next time around. They will be in a good frame of mind because they know that they've come through a very hard-fought game against Australia in just the recent past. So I think overall, what Rohit and Gautam will be keeping their fingers crossed on is the fitness of a few key players. So for the WTC final, obviously Shami becomes a very, very important cog in the wheel, along with the great Jasprit Bumrah. So I think they will be keeping their fingers crossed on the fitness, and hence they will plan the next few months leading up to the WTC. They'll plan that very, very carefully. Let's not forget we have a big test series coming up against Australia as well. It's more planning around how do you leverage your the human capital which you have at your command.
Now, given that you're part of the Cricket Advisory Committee, tell us about what Gautam Gambhir brings to the table as coach, because he was a mentor with the Kolkata Knight Riders, but not a coach per se. What makes him, for instance, stand out?
I think his vast playing experience is the number one kind of piece in my head. The second is that the role might be called head coach, but it becomes more of a team director kind of a role, which is very, very close to the mentor's role which IPL teams have. So I think his main job will be to get the team, to keep the team together. They have a great kind of bond going across all members of the team. So to keep that entire camaraderie going will be top of the tree for him. At these levels, there is very little technical coaching which is needed or which is kind of meted out as well. So a lot of the work will be strategic, will be around human capital, will be about the entire team aligning to one vision. So I think his immediate task will be for him to sit down with Rohit Sharma, if they've not already done so, in terms of agreeing on what the vision should be for the Indian team over the next 3, 4 or 5 years.
And what about the process to fill in other positions? Because the support staff is, of course, going to be very crucial as well. There will be a batting, bowling and fielding coach. And tell us about how important these positions will be and whoever is appointed here in terms of shaping the team with Gambhir.
Yes, absolutely. You have a batting, fielding, and bowling coach, and they are kind of captains of those many teams within that overall group. So there will be, the need for alignment on integrity, on integration. But the most important thing, like I mentioned, is to have one very simple, bold, audacious vision for the Indian team, and then the sub parts of that entire cog start fitting in. So I think over the next week or so, you will see certain appointments being made or certain appointments continue as part of the team setup. In recent past, head coaches have always got their own teams along with them. But I don't really see that as such a mandatory thing. I feel that the current support staff has done well enough, and we might well see them continuing for a bit.
All right. And also someone who's been a player and an administrator, tell us about to what extent you see the role as a man manager, because Gautam Gambhir will be rubbing shoulders with some vastly experienced players, icons who are in their own right already recognized, and therefore the coach needs to understand his players, get to know them personally, professionally. Given the composition of this Indian team, how does Gautam Gambhir approach this aspect of his role now?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's more about personality management. It's more about helping players also understand their games a little bit better, helping players understand their roles within the team better as well. But more importantly, to have that respect and confidence from the players that they are comfortable in their own skin, especially the younger players, in expressing their opinions. I know for a fact that this dressing room is a very democratic dressing room. So there's a free and fair exchange of views which happens within those four walls. So I think it's all about keeping this entire momentum going. Because I feel that over the last 3 or 4 games of the T20 World Cup, there is a huge amount of momentum which the Indian team has, and I think the main job would be to keep that going as you go into the Sri Lanka series, and after that, like I said, Australia, that's a big one. So they will want to keep this entire vibe going, which would be pretty much central to their thoughts right now.
Also, take us through some of the upcoming challenges for the Indian cricket team, because we're heading to Sri Lanka for a limited over series, and then we host Bangladesh and New Zealand for tests, after which we head to Australia to play 5 tests. The last time an Indian team played a 5-test series in Australia was in 1991-92, and we beat Australia in Australia both in 2018-19 and in 2020-21. How do you see us doing this time under Gambhir and Rohit, and what's the biggest challenge in your view?
No, I think the main challenge is actually the problem of plenty, because you have these 3 or 4 cities before the big one in Australia, and it's about how do you keep your best team with enough miles on the clock, but not with too much usage as well. And when I say this, I particularly mean the likes of Bumrah. Now Shami will come back from injury, so you'll see him playing post the Sri Lanka series, but it's about keeping your best guys well oiled, but not overused and not underused as well. So I think that's going to be a challenge, and where things help out when we are trying to find a solution for this challenge is that the Future Tours program is very well set up for the next 3 or 4 years. So you can then plan your resources according to that, set in stone calendar. But I think for the coach, it will be about keeping his best 16 or 17 freshest for those 5 test matches in Australia.
Okay, and a final question to you. The BCCI has taken an important decision recently, which was to tell players that they need to give primacy to domestic cricket if they wish to qualify and play for the senior national team. There's always been a potential conflict in terms of players' choices, but tell us about the message that BCCI intends to send with this decision and what are its implications in your view?
I think this has been a really welcome step by the BCCI in terms of according this primacy. I think it's extremely important for international stars to come and represent their own state, because it's a matter of inspiration for the younger players from that state to see the big stars coming and playing for them. And I think the BCCI will pretty much have a zero tolerance kind of approach on this in terms of not allowing the players to pick and choose games unless they are legitimately injured, and that's where the NCA comes in. So I think there will be a certain sternness around application of this rule, if we can call it that, because it's important. It's important that domestic cricket, is respected and and the top players partake in it, because that's the cradle of all this amazing talent that we are seeing. So it's a highly welcome step from the BCCI, and I have a feeling personally that they will enforce this with zero tolerance.
All right, thank you so much, Jatin Paranjpe, for joining us and sharing with us your perspective on the future of the Indian cricket team and the implications of the current decisions that have been made. Thanks so much for joining us, indeed.